tutorial on the Grasshopper. Again, I'll try to record as much as I can, but I don't know if I want to do 10 hours of this, but I think hopefully once we get beyond, beyond the second leg and maybe up to here, maybe I'll show you some highlights on how to get this started. But again, I think once you get up into this area, I think you'll kind of understand how to kind of move forward. But again, we may have to spend 2 weeks on just on ZBrush, because there is a lot slower than I remember getting to ZBrush. Again, I do this once a year, and even in my own research now, I'm starting to do a lot more. All right, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and etch in this huge plate here, and then also kind of a mini plate here. And so if we can see the shape is kind of descending down to our leg here, and we're just going to go ahead and start sculpting that in with just our brush here, our just standard brush. So I'm going to click on here and go to my standard. Again, we're just going to start just like sketching on a pen and pencil, and we're just going to come here and kind of go up. Again, you can see this kind of trough here, and again, we're going to go and look at our drawing. Get used to your drawing, and if you're one of these cool people that have a huge screen, definitely put this image on to the side so you don't have to oh man, so my computer's having a hard time, so I have to hit Command Z. It's trying to record and so many things, so I have to do a Command Z again. Let's see what's going on. All right. Move forward on this little tab. All right, so I'm gonna have to kind of redo that again. So again, we're just trying to create this kind of shape right in here. And for some reason, it's taking a little bit longer. So when I hit Command, I'm gonna push this in. All right, and then holding Option, not Command, Option, and creating this shape right here. Again, I'm going to go back and look at my shape here. Again, we're trying to go in an angle, kind of like a V. And then we're going to do the same here too. I'm going to hit my Option, kind of just start. I'm just sketching out where I think this is. And there's no scientific way of doing this. Just kind of have to jump in there and do it. It's going to look ugly as heck the first time. Just start building up these shapes. All right, so we can see a little bit of a skeleton here too. So we're just going to kind of do a circle around these leg parts. So let's go ahead and do that. Again, Option, and I'm just using my standard tool, just kind of making these rough, really silly shapes. All right, this is not our final. I just want you to get used and kind of loose with your drawing style right now. We're just kind of creating silhouettes and shapes here. All right, my battery's about to die. This is awesome. All right, so while I'm recording, I'm going to plug in my charger, and hopefully it doesn't take too long, so you can maybe fast forward this. All right, that was pretty quick. All right, so we're charged in, battery's gone away, grabbing the tablet. All right, so you saw that I'm just starting to create these like kind of shapes around the leg here, and we're just kind of move this on down, and you can see kind of this almost like a triangle. So look at it as parts and pieces. So this is more of a triangle, not a circle here. So I'm just going to go back in here and start creating more of a triangle shape. Go back and forth. All right, I think that's good. And then you can see kind of a silhouette, something kind of edging around it too. So you can start to see it kind of echoes that shape if we look at that. All right, echoes it right here also. Okay. And I'm just going to use my build-up tool. All right, you're just going to watch me just kind of play along. Again, I would try to follow the first couple of these, and then after that, you guys should be kind of good to go to kind of tackle this yourself. All right, so basically we're just kind of building up these ectoskeleton. is part of what we have, and these are just parts and pieces over the main part of this. All right. Go a little bit smaller and wider on your brush. And so it looks like a scab, but again, remember you can go up on your draw size by hitting S or just going up there, and I just use my mouse just really quickly. And it's going to take you a while to get used to where the tablet is. Kind of looking up, looking down. It's a pain. Really, it is a pain to learn this. But I guarantee in about 4 hours, you'll get used to this. All right, so I'm just building this up. Building this up. Okay. Build this edge up. And basically we're going to be pinching these points too. Alright. Really, really ugly. It's a really, really organic, but again, we're just trying to build up some layers here. Again, can't really go wrong with a cricket or even a dinosaur. You just want to make sure that you have nice silhouettes, nice lines. Again, learn how to build this stuff up. Edgings. Pull down here, start pulling some shapes here. Again, really get used to looking at several different angles of this cricket. Alright, so we got a little bit of a thickening. Of that arm. Okay, looks kind of like a muscle, striation of a muscle. Alright, and I'm just holding shift. Again, make sure your X is doing its thing on the other side. You don't want to have to model that all over again. Alright, so we'll just look at some other angles of that, some hard edges here. Alright. And then there's some hard flashing here on the side. Just build that up, and you may want to get your move tool. I'm doing this with my mouse. Again, you're going to get so good at it that you won't be using a mouse like me. I'm kind of a dork. I love using the mouse for some reason, but anyways, just building up this areas here. I think if we look at the drawing, it's kind of these areas right here. Again, do your own interpretation of this. And get used to hitting S and going up and down on your brush size. And again, kind of make it a kind of a linear path so it's just not a bulge. And then again, just holding down shift all the time and creating these kind of shapes. All right, so I'm going to see kind of the indentation, a ring around the leg there. Again, I'm going back to my mouse and move this up. Okay, I think there's a ring around here. It's going to kind of go really quickly. Oops, Apple Z. Sometimes that'll happen, especially when you're recording. This kind of goes crazy. All right, I'm just going to make a kind of a ring around here. Again, you can mess up. Okay, making a bigger band. That first one was just kind of to get it going, and then I'm just going to smooth it out. All right, so you can see how easy it is to kind of build it up. You can't really mess up. You can always hit shift to kind of undo, so you can always go back in time and undo the history. So you can see really quickly, we're starting to get some kind of interesting silhouettes, right? It may not be accurate. It may be more of an artistic impression that I'm doing. Again, using that shift and rotating will snap it into a nice ortho view. So I'm going to go back and look at my drawing here. So it's pretty bad. We're going to go up on my draw size and see if I can flatten this out a little bit. Right now it's a little too muddy, so I'm just going to try to, if you do kind of nice smooth lines, you can kind of smooth stuff out. Don't have to watch every second that I'm doing, but again, I'd watch it once through. Again, it's all about practice. You need to, get a good 100 hours underneath your belt till you feel more and more confident with this. And now I'm hitting shift after doing those long linear lines. And when you hit the shift, just make sure you go in long linear strokes too. It'll smooth it out nice and in a nice way. All right. So again, just keep looking back at that drawing. That's so key. And so I'm going to build up that center ridge line here. Again, nice long strokes there with the build up tool, and just kind of building up the center here, kind of like the eyeball. And just keep hitting smooth, going back and forth. All right. So it may not even look like what we're doing here. It's kind of a really bad interpretation here, but you can always hit Shift D, and we can go down to the move tool, and you can see some of my stuff here is not in the right proportion. So I'm going to hit my move tool, and we're going to go up on my brush size, and I'm going to pull this stuff down. Okay, so you can see how quickly I can shift this around. All right, so you want to get used to really working with your proportions really quickly when you saw that was wrong, and then I'm going to hit D and go back up. So you notice earlier this is way too high, and I looked at my drawing and this is really low, and now it's kind of rounded and we want it a little bit more pointy. So use your move tool, and you can easily hit Shift D and go down on the proportions and just make things a little bit more pointy. All right, and you can go up on your draw size. Okay, and hit D. All right, so really get used to using that Shift D to go down on our polygon count. So you can go all the way back to almost the original. I'm going to go up on my brush size, and if we look at the nose, you can see it's pinched in. All right, so I'm going to go up on my draw size down, draw size up a little bit, and we're just going to kind of push this in. Let's use my mouse to get in a little bit closer. So I'm using my zoom, and trying to get it so we are not moving the antennas. All right, once you kind of grab the geometry that you want to move, it won't accidentally grab that antenna. I'm just kind of pinching this nose. It's a little bit, if we look at our thing, it's kind of punched in there. So I'm going to pinch this a little bit. All right, again, get used to hitting D and then Shift D to go back and forth. Really quickly, you can move that stuff around. All right, so it looking pretty good so far. Again, keep looking at this. We can do a little bit more build up here. So I'm going to go back to my clay build up and hit S, hold down S, and we can go down on our brush size. Again, just get used to how to do that brush size and using that clay buildup, and it does a nice line, so you can start creating those creases. Later on, we'll start doing a crease. There's a crease tool also that'll make that a little bit tighter. I'm just building this up. Again, you can go really far out with this since we're at subdivision, 6 or 7. Again, do not go up to 7 on yours, it'll kill your machine. All right, so now I'm just going to go up on my draw size, hit Shift. All right, just kind of build it up and then knock it down. All right, so I'm going to kind of probably stop there. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And again, get used to using your mouse. And so you can start to see how I'm building up kind of these layers and sculpting it out, and pushing things in. So before I go, let me work on this area right here. It's kind of bothering me. Again, you can rotate when you get full screen on here. You can't rotate easily, so you have to kind of come over here to move in and out. So let's look at this area. We really want to punch that in, so we may have to get into our standard tool and punch that in, or maybe a move tool. But let's try standard, and I'm going to go down on my focal point. We're going to kind of focal point will make this the secondary ring, the inner ring, bigger. All right, so holding my option key, and I'm not sure what it is for a PC, but it should be option or control on a PC, but on a Mac it is option. All right, so I'm just going to kind of push this in so we have some geometry. Again, I'm going to go over to using my mouse actually to rotate this around so I can get to the bottom of this. Again, everything should be symmetrical. If not, you're in big trouble because you're going to have to kind of probably start over. All right, I just went over to that black space and kind of flipped it in. All right, really trying to push it in. And there is also a limitation on how far you can push and pull stuff. You may have to do a Dynamesh, but I really don't want you guys to do that on this project yet. All right, so let's go back and look at, all right, so it's pushing a little bit. I'm gonna go a little bit more organic and push it in here. Again, the home button on the stylus is giving me some issues. All right, and then we're gonna go down on my draw size a little bit further. Hit Alt. Oops, oh, hit Alt and or Option to push that in. All right, and let's undo that one. And then I'm gonna do a little bit of clay buildup. Go back into my clay buildup, and we're gonna go put on my draw size. Again, you can hit S, and I'm just gonna keep working on this part right here. There's a long line right there. Let's look at that one more time. All right, so build that up. Okay, you can't screw this up. It is a grasshopper. I mean, from a distance, and once we get textures in Substance Designer, it'll look very organic and look natural. So just try your best. Again, your first model. Obviously, my model is not doing well. It's just sketching it out. So it's just like figure drawing. If you start with some rough lines, start building up silhouettes and slowly building this up. All right, so I'm just going to keep building up that ridge line here. Again, keep going back to your drawing. Not your drawing, but your photos. Alright, just kind of building it up. And again, we want a nice ridge line here, also around the eyes. Okay, so I'm going to go up on my draw size and smooth this out. Hit Shift, and you can play around with your focal point. Some of this roughness and weirdness is kind of good. Sometimes it can be a pain. I keep smoothing it out, and I'm going to go ahead. Alt, see if I can push this in a little bit. Woo! Don't do that. Shift, smooth that out. All right. Don't get too carried away. Just kind of really just kind of go over all of it quickly, and don't get into the micro details yet, like what I'm doing. Again, hold Shift, and it will snap it to ortho side view. But you can start to see some of these shapes starting to come out. A lot of this needs to be flattened out. But you can see those original drawings are helping create our silhouette. See our legs are starting to define and shape. Again, go back and forth and look at your form, and then all this little micro abrasions and stuff like that. That's all substance. So don't get into, just want to start creating some hard lines, and we're going to stop it there, and I'm going to finish up the leg and the mid torso this week. So I will just keep modeling. You guys can watch or fast forward, but again, you just need to kind of just jump in and do it, and just learn from your mistakes is basically how you're going to learn ZBrush. But I'm going to go all the way through and model it, so if you do want to watch like how to create these lines and so forth, it's just a lot of ZBrush clay buildup in your standard tool. All right, good luck.